Welcome back, my Algebra 1 students. We're in lesson 44 today. We're going to talk about the addition of rational expressions with equal denominators and then with unequal denominators. So we know if we have two fractions that have the same denominator, that we can easily add them together. We just keep the denominators the same and we add the numerators. So we have 3 over 11. Pretty easy peasy. I mean, that's pretty much third grade, right? We know how to do this. So what happens when the denominators are not the same? Let's say we have 1 over 4 plus 1 over 2. We have to find the least common multiple, which becomes the common denominator, in order to add these together. We have to have a common denominator. And the way we do that, like I said, least common multiple. We did the least common multiple in the last couple lessons, I believe it was. So how do we find the least common multiple? We take the factors of both denominators, and here we have 2 times 2, and here we have 2 times 1. And what we do is we write them as exponent. We write the bases as an exponent. So here we have 2 squared, and here we just have 2, right? 1, we pretty much ignore the 1 because everything can be multiplied by 1. So it's a given. We get rid of the given. So we always take the highest exponent of every base. So in this case, the highest exponent is 2 squared, which equals 4. We don't take this one because it only has an exponent of 1. So 4 is going to be our least common multiple, which also equals our common denominator, or our CD. So this is what we're going to find for each one of these. So what we do is we look at the factors and we factor out what's already existing. So in this case, we have 1 over 4 times 4, right? That would be what we want to find here, but they cancel out. So we don't multiply the 1 times anything. Nothing. So what we do is we just say 1 times 1/4. That equals 1/4. It stays the same. But when we say 4 times 1 over 2, we can factor out one of the 2's from here, because this is really 2 times 2, right? It's 2 squared. We could factor out one of the 2's. So the only thing we have to multiply times the 1 on the top is 2. So 2 times 1 and 2 times 2 becomes 2 over 4. Now we can add them together, and that gives us an answer of 3/4, something that we can very quickly understand and wrap our head around. And it's a lot easier to say 3/4 than 1/4 plus 1/2. This is a better representation of this expression. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a better way to express a series of fractions that are added together or combined together. Sometimes it's subtraction, so that we can just give a fractional response or an expression response and not have to say, well, this plus this minus this plus this with all different denominators. Finding that common denominator gives us that ability. Okay, to simplify. That's what we're looking to do, is simplify. So let us clear the page and let's go through a few practice problems. So let's start with 44.1. So we have 4, and we have a denominator here of 2x squared plus y minus 6ax over the same denominator. Okay, this one is so easy peasy, y'all. All we're going to do is write. We already have the same denominator. We don't have to multiply anything. All we have to do is write the same denominator underneath, right? And then put these two together on top. So when you have a negative here or a minus sign here, we pretend that's a -1, and we multiply it by whatever is on top of this following fraction. So negative 1 times 6a is going to be negative 6a. So our answer is 4 minus 6a over 2x squared plus y. And that is correct. Let's do 44.2. See how easy these are? You guys can do these in your sleep. I probably don't even need to show it to you. You probably could just look at it and figure out. Y'all are so smart. 5 over a squared plus 7y. And then this one has some subtraction. Same denominator. And then we have some more addition. All right, everything is over the same denominator. So we don't have to do anything for that. We can just write our fractional line and rewrite our common denominator. And we're going to look at what we have on top. We have a whole number minus a whole number plus a variable. We can combine these whole numbers. 5 minus 3, that's 2. So we can just say 2 for these plus z. All right, plus z. That's it. We're done. Easy peasy. Oh my goodness, you guys are going to do such a good job with these problems. I have no doubt that you will be able to do perfect. All right, let's do 44.3. This one is 5x plus 7 over 5a squared x minus 3x minus 2 over the same denominator, 5a squared x. All right, so we write our little line down here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. All right, 5a squared x, because we have the same denominator in both of these. Now remember, when I said you have a minus, we have to attach the parenthesis and then multiply -1 times both of these. That's what we're going to do. We can bring down 5x plus 7, but then -1 times 3x is going to be a negative 3x, and a -1 times -2 is going to be a positive 2. So look, we have some like terms. So let's combine some like terms. Let's write it again. 5a squared x. So we have a 5x and a negative 3x. That gives me 2x. And we have a positive 7 and a positive 2. That gives me positive 9. And that is the answer. And that's it. Yay. All right. Now what happens when we have these types of denominators and they're all different? Let's look at some of those. Let's clear this page. Go back and rewind it if you didn't get all your notes taken down. I have to move on. 44.4. Let's look at this problem. We have 3 over 4 plus 2 over b. So we have a factor of 4 and a factor of b. So our least common multiple is going to be 4b. That's our common denominator. So we have to multiply this fraction with whatever factors from here make the denominator 4b. So in this case, we already have a 4, so we just need to multiply the top and the bottom by b. So let's put a 4b down here. We know that that's going to be the common denominator because we've already figured that out. So we just need to multiply this by b. So we'd get 3b on top, 4b on the bottom. All right, so let's put in our 3b. Now, for this one, we need to multiply. We already have a b on the bottom, so we need to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times b is 4b. So now we can rewrite that with one denominator, just like we did in the first 3 problems, and we can say 3b plus 8 over 4b, and that is the answer. Okay. All right, let's look at some more. Let me flip the page. These are not super hard. You just have to kind of get used to the way it works. It's a thought process. That's all of this. You're not learning any new math. Everything you learn is multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. You're just learning how to apply it according to a different set of rules and how to think about what you are putting together. You're using some logic instead of straight math. So for number 45 or 44.5, we have 4b plus 1 over c plus 1/2, or 1 over 2. So what would our least common multiple be? 2 times b times c, or 2bc. That's our least common multiple and our common denominator. So let's make our fractions with their common denominator. It's supposed to be a c. All right, so we have to multiply the top and the bottom by 2c because we already have a b. So 2c times 4 is going to be 8c. All right, now we have to multiply this times the 2 and the b because it already has a c. So 2b times 1 is 2b. And now we have to multiply this one by bc because it already has a 2. So 1 times bc is bc, and bc times 2 is 2bc. Right? So now we could put that all over the same denominator, which is 2bc. And we're going to say 8c plus 2b plus bc. And that is our answer. Easy peasy. All right, we have a couple of more. We have 44.6. And that one looks like this. All right, I want you to pause the video and work this problem, and then come back and see if you got the same answer or the correct answer. All right, so go ahead and pause and work that one. All right, so we have come back. We found our common denominator was xbc. We applied that to each fraction. We got 5bc, x squared c, and axb. And then we put them all over the same denominator, xbc, as one expression. So this is the correct answer right here. If you got that, congratulations. You understand what you're doing. Let's do 44.7 right here. All right, this one's a little bit more complicated. Remember to copy with me as I write. All right, in this case, we have a whole number. What's the first thing we do to a whole number when we're dealing with fractions? We put it over 1 and turn it into a fraction, right? Okay, so now we can do this. So we have C3 and C2. What is the highest exponent? It's C3, right? So we cancel out C2. C3 is our common denominator. So this one is already over C3, so we don't do anything to it. This one needs to be multiplied by another c, so that's going to be 4c. And this one has no c's underneath, so we're going to multiply that by all 3 of the c's. Now we can reduce this into one expression by putting everything over C3, and that's going to be m plus 4c minus 6c3. Now, what I did was I did multiply this times this, but I did it quickly in my head because it was only one term, and it was pretty easy to do. So let's see if we could do 44.8 here. We have p over 4 minus a over 2 plus c over b. All right, so first step is to find our common denominator. So we have 4, and we have 2, and we have b. All right, so 4 is equal to 2 times 2. With 2, we have 2, and then with b, we just have b. So because we have 2 to the 1 and 2 to the 2, we can actually cancel out one of these sets of 2's. So, and just have, so this is one set of 2, and this is the other set. So we have an exponent of 2 here, right? This is 2 times 2. We canceled this one out because we already have a 2 up here. Probably you will see that better if I don't cross out both of them. Let me rewrite that. 2 times 2 and 2. We canceled this one out because we already have 1 up here. We don't have a b anywhere, so we end up with a least common multiple of 2 times 2 times b. That's all of our factors. So it's going to end up being 4b as our least common multiple. So we rewrite this with 4b as the denominator. And then we look at each one of these and we multiply by whatever it takes to get to 4b down here in the denominator. So in this case, this has a 4. We need to multiply everything by b. So p times b is pb. Right, we have a 2 here, so to get to 4b, we would multiply everything by 2b, because 2 times 2b is 4b. So 2b times a is 2ba. Right, and over here in this fraction, we already have the b, so we need to multiply everything times 4. 4 times c is 4c, and 4 times b would be 4b. Now that everything has the same denominator, we can put everything over 4b. And remember, we are going to put this in parentheses, multiply it times 1. So we have pb minus 2ba plus 4c. And that is the right answer. That's as far as we can go. Last one, 44.9. We have kind of a complex one here. We have a over c squared plus 3 over 4c cubed plus m over 3c to the 4th. All right, so what I would like for you to do is pause, work this out, and see if you get the same answer I do. So go ahead, pause the video, and work the problem. All right, if you came up with 12ac squared plus 9c plus 4m over 12c to the 4th, then you got the correct answer. Yay! So our common denominator is 12c4. That is the least common multiple. We have a factor of 4, a factor of 3, and the highest exponent of the base variable c is 4. So 4 times 3 times c to the 4th is 12c to the 4th. Now, this already has a c squared. So to get to 12c4 on the bottom, we multiply top and bottom everything by 12c squared, right? Because we already had 2 here. All right, on this one, we have 3 c's, and we already have the factor of 4. So all we need to multiply everything by is the 3c. So 3c times the top is 9c. So on this last fraction, we have c to the 4th, so we don't need c's at all, and we have the factor of 3, so all we need is to multiply everything by 4. So 4 times m is 4m, and 4 times 3c to the 4th is 12c to the 4th. And so when we combine them all over the same common denominator, we get 12ac squared plus 9c plus 4m over 12c to the 4th. And that is the final answer. So go back and look at these again. See if you can remember or see the steps that are in here. You have some basic steps. The first step is to find the least common multiple. That is going to equal your common denominator, right? Then you're going to multiply, I can't really spell today, denominator. Then you're going to multiply each fraction to equal the common denominator. Multiply each fraction to get the common denominator, the denominator. Man, my pen is messing up. It is just skipping all over the place to get the denominator. After that, let me move this up a little bit. After you multiply each fraction to get the denominator, then you are going to combine into one fraction. All right, and as you do that, you can add like terms if you have any. If applicable. That's what that means. If you can apply it, if you have like terms, like in one of these problems, we had some like terms. I forget which one it was. I think it was one of the early ones. But if you have like terms, you can put them together when you combine into this final fraction. All right. Please write this in a better handwriting than what I have on here. My pen is jumping all over the place on this tablet, and I don't know why. I think I need to change the tip or wash off my tablet, one of the two. All right, so that's all I have for lesson 44. I will see you ladies in lesson 45.